Hello, I'll be helping you with homework number 1, help. Our homework help videos are designed to walk through, step by step, how to complete a project similar to CS101 homework. These projects are structured identically to the actual homework, but use different project scenarios. In other words, different data sources. If you have questions after watching a video, please email your instructor. These are not actual homework projects for your class. You won't receive any credit for submitting work based on a homework help project. Your actual homework projects are assigned by your instructor and are on your instructor's assignment page. Please take a look at those, and if you have any questions, let your instructor know. So let's begin with the energy production problem. First, let's download the zip file. I'm going to click. You can see it downloaded it. The first thing I'm going to want to do is go to the location where it downloaded it. You can see it there. I am going to right click and I am going to choose to extract it. It's going to extract it to my downloads folder, and you can see it's there. We do not want to open it, leave it alone. I would close it up, and let's go to the instructions. So on the instructions, it asks us to first download and extract the provided data zip file. We've done that. It contains the files for use in the assignment. That's just the production. We have in this a little bit of data. We have the year of the data listed and different types of energy produced from different sources. So coal, natural gas, petroleum, nuclear, and renewable. And we also have a column for total production. What we're asked to do is create a new Excel workbook. I'm going to copy the name there. I'm going to open Excel, create a blank workbook, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to choose to save the workbook first off. My choice is I like to save on my PC, and I'm going to paste the name in there. I'm going to make sure I'm saving it on my desktop so I know where it is. And I am going to rename, so I've got my last name and my first name there. I hit save. Now it's on my desktop. I've got the file and I can begin to work. The first step that you're asked to do is to adjust the sheets in the workbook, the names. We need to rename sheet 1 to production, and we need to rename a new sheet to analysis questions. So let's do that. So down here, sheet 1, I right click, I choose rename, and I paste production in. You can type it in if you want. The second one, I will rename to analysis questions. I'm going to go back to production, because that's where the work is going to be. And let's see what I need to do. I need to import the production file. I want to import it into cell A3. We note that it's comma delimited, and then its first row contains headers. So I'm going to click into cell A3 because that's where we want to put it. We're going to go to Insert. We're going to go to Data. We're going to get our data, go from File, and pick from Text CSV. Now, we downloaded and extracted that file into our Downloads folder. So I have to scroll up here a little bit. It's right here. I grab production. Now it presents me a preview of what it'll look like. The one thing I want to make sure I do is put it in cell A3 and have everything formatted. So I'm going to pick Load To, because that gives me an opportunity to look at how I'm going to import it. And in this case, I want to put it in the existing worksheet and click OK. We've got a table that is imported in. It's in the default style. Let's take a look at the instructions on what we're asked to do here. He says if a table does not already exist, well, in our case it does. So we can sort of skip that. If the table already does exist, we need to format the table using a style of our choice. Either way, if a table hadn't existed, or whether it does exist, we wind up doing the same thing. You click on cell A3, and you go down and you highlight the entire table. If a table hadn't existed there, you would go to Home and choose Format as a Table. In our case, a table does exist. We're going to do the exact same thing, and we are going to pick a different style, something other than the default. So I click that. I've been having trouble when I do this that the upper portion, even though it's selected, doesn't reformat. So I just issue the command a second time, and it seems to come through. If you have that problem, that's how to solve it. Then, after we do that, we have to build the table out a little bit. We need to insert 2 new table columns to the right of existing column G, and we also need to turn the total row on and add a little bit of text. So let's focus on putting the new table columns in first. Whenever you want to add a new column to a table, you simply click in the table, the column where you want to add, and you right-click then and choose Insert, tell it to the right. I'll click over and do the same thing. So we do that twice, we get 2 new columns. Then we want to turn the total row on. We make sure we're in the table. Since I have a cell that's selected in the table, I'm fine. That shows this contextual menu table design, or causes it to show up. And I click total row, and you can see it shows up. I'm going to do one thing here because later on in the instructions, we're asked not to display anything in these 2 final columns, so I'm going to turn that one off. Okay, let me go back up to the top. And we're asked to add this little bit of text here. So I'm going to take what we want to add in cell A1, copy it, put it in cell A1. I just pasted it. I notice there's a space in front of the E here, so I'm going to click at the beginning and get rid of it, and it's fine. Then we're asked to rename these 2 columns. First one's total production rank, so I'm simply going to go in here and type total production rank, hit tab, it goes over. And the second one is called renewable percentage. So I'll just highlight that and type renewable percentage. We're asked to merge and center cell A1 through I1 and then make it 16 point. So we're going to go back up to where we were before. Make sure you highlight that whole area, or range rather. Click merge and center, and then change it to 16 point. We have a good title then. We're then asked to do a calculation. It's a fairly straightforward one. We just want to calculate the percentage of total energy production from renewables. So we're going to take the renewable value and divide it by total production. You can't copy and paste this formula. It's a formula you have to create. So I just go back here, I believe. Let me just double check. That column, renewable percentage, yep. So I start out by creating a formula. I hit equals on that first line. And I click on renewable, hit divide, and click on total production, and hit enter. Hitting enter is important. You don't want to click on anything else after you have finished the formula. So we've got the calculation there. It's in decimal. Later we're going to change it to percentage. The next thing he would like us to do is do the rank.eq function for, let's see, in step 6b, use the rank EQ function to rank each state by the total production of energy. So it's a fairly simple calculation. We use the insert function and we grab rank EQ. I already have it right there, but if you didn't see it, you could search for it by typing rank.eq. And then the function is really straightforward. There's 2 parts to it. The number that you want to rank, and then the second portion is the reference where you tell it what you want to rank it against. So the number I want to rank is total production right here. And what I want to rank it against is this column. I'll exclude the title because that would cause an error. There you go. And it's ranked. From there, he wants us to do a little bit of formatting. And I would be careful here because when I've done this in the past, I have inadvertently selected more than I need to. And that can cause you some problems on down the road. So here he wants us to format B4 through G66 and I4 through I65. B4 through G66 is just a number with one decimal place and the comma. It's a fancy way of saying the 1000 separator is a fancy way of saying comma. Or use a comma rather. So what I do is I go ahead and I highlight columns B through G. And it does include the total row, even though there's nothing in it yet. And the way I do it is I go to number, hit the call out button, and I can do it all in one step. Then I'll tell it number. I think I wanted one decimal place, and I wanted to use the 1000 separator. And there you go. For column I wanted that to be formatted as a percentage with no decimal place. I'll check to make sure I remembered correctly. Yes. Now I skipped step C inadvertently. In the total row, we need to sum columns B through G and leave H and I out. So let's take a look. Sorry to go slightly out of step. Take a look. And you can see the pound sign. I've had some questions and emails about those, and I'll show you how to deal with that in just a second. But basically, we just sum each of those columns. Now, you see the pound signs there. The way you would deal with that is I just double click and I expanded the column. The pound signs mean the number's too big to fit in there. And that he actually takes care of that in step B. To auto-fit the widths of column A through I. I did that one individually. Step 7C, we want to apply conditional formatting to the cells in I4 through I65, essentially column I. We need to do two steps. One is if the percentage is less than 8%, it needs to be white text with red background. If it's greater than or equal to 11, it needs to be white text with a green background. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to highlight the column here, and let's do the less than 8% first. It's the easiest. We simply say make it less than 8%. And to get it exactly right, we want to tell it the color needs to be white and the fill needs to be, I always pick a bright red so that it's obvious. We're great there. For conditional formatting for greater than, there's not a shortcut for greater than or equal to. So what I do is I choose the greater than. It makes me do an extra step, but for the greater than or equal to 11%, let me check to make sure that's right. Yep. I'll do something similar. But in this case, I'll pick the bright green. That should work. The white. But we're not finished. Even though we've got, probably just about everything highlighted as we wanted, we really need to do exactly what the instructions say. So what I do is I go back to conditional formatting and I manage the rules. And if you take a look at this first rule, it only says greater than. We needed to say greater than or equal to. So I just go up and edit the rule, and right here it says greater than or equal to. It lets me put it in. The reason I choose to do that is I find that building a rule from scratch with the greater than in doesn't let me use the wizard, and it's a little more difficult. And I prefer to take the easy way out. So to me, adding that extra step of just hitting the edit button and putting greater than or equal to in right there helps me out tremendously. Okay, finally, we need to build a chart. And what I recommend you do here is read it carefully. He only wants you to highlight A3 through G65, not the entire table. He would like us to move the chart to a new sheet called production chart. And he wants us to do a little bit of housekeeping, making sure the years are in the right place on the x-axis. And we need to have chart titles and axis titles, or a chart title and an axis title. So here's what we want to do. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to start at the bottom because it's easy, and that's where I am. We want column G all the way over through column A, and we want to take, whoops, and expand it on me. There we go. So I've selected the range that I need. What I recommend you do is this. I would go to Insert. I choose the recommended charts, and the first one is correct. So I would insert that. And if you take a look, you've got the numbers for the years at the bottom. It's not graphed here. It doesn't show up in the legend. And it's set up correctly. So then I would go up to Move Chart, put it on its own sheet called Production Chart. And we're in a good place here. Now, this is where we need to do the housekeeping I talked about. I would change the chart title name. And then we need to add axis titles. And you can see I have done that just so. Now, the only thing to do after this, for this portion of the assignment, is to add a trend line. And you want to use the trend line that best fits the data and forecasts the values forward 10 periods. And you want to display the R-squared value on the chart. Here's how I do it. I click on the line, the total production that I want to add a trend line to, right-click, and I choose Add Trend Line. I tend to go down and do display R-squared value on the chart. I project it forward the 10 units that we're asked to, and then you need to figure out which of the trend lines work best for you. Exponential has a 0.83 R-squared value. Linear is a little bit lower at 0.82. Logarithmic, 0.76. And notice it's lower and it bends. It doesn't really match the line. Polynomial is 0.83. Power is 0.79. And we're told we can't use moving average. In this case, I think linear tends to work the best. It's got the best it's got a good R-squared value, and it tends to match the line of the data. So I'm going to go with that. Close that up. We've got our chart. We've got everything else. Now we need to add analysis questions. If you notice for the setup for the analysis questions, you're asked in cell A1 to put question number and in B1 response. And then you're asked to do a little bit of formatting. So let me carefully do that. Question number, response. We're asked to bold those. And then we auto-fit the width of column A. Column B, we're asked to set to a width of 100. So we select column B like we have there. Go to Format. Go to column width and set it at 100. Then we are asked to set the height for rows 2 through 4 to 110. We are asked to change the vertical alignment setting for columns A and B so that text is displayed at the top of each row. So I'll pick A and B, and I am going to hit the call out button, and the vertical alignment we want at the top. And I believe the next instruction asks us to wrap text, so I'm going to go ahead and check it. And, oh, he just wanted to turn on text wrapping for column B. So to be accurate, I'll go back over here and turn it off for column A. Just to be careful. It's not going to matter because you're only putting one letter in column A, but it's okay. You want to do it correctly. And then you want to answer your analysis questions. I hope this has helped you out. And if you have any questions, I'd encourage you to talk to your instructor. Thank you.